For the Barcelona Pocket, cut 2 pieces of face fabric that are 1.5 inches wide
by 8 inches long.
Cut a facing piece 2.5 inches by 7 and press 1/4 inch under one of the long sides. Cut 2 pieces of lining 7 inches by 7 inches, and then at the top come down 1/2 inch and mark an angled line. This will be your new cut line. Stitch any pieces of lining together that you need to, and mark a line starting 2.5 inches down from the cut edge, across at an angle with a 1/2 inch dip in it. Mark the center line first, 7 inches long, then put a notch 5 inches in, and mark lines 5/8 or 1/2 inch above and below that are 6 inches long. Cut a straight grain piece of lining 3.5 inches long by 1.5 inches wide, fold it in half, and stitch 3/8 inch from the edge. Turn, press, and fold it again. Then stitch across the triangle at the bottom. Mark a stitching line 1/2 inch from one edge and give yourself 2 notches in the center that are 5 inches apart. Stitch above the notch in a regular stitch and back stitch, then stitch a long basting stitch, and then a back stitch and a short stitch beyond. Press open. Clip into the points here, here, and here, and press the seam allowance back. If it isn't pressing nicely, put a stay stitch just inside the line. To help line everything up nicely, I have marked my 1/2 inch or 5/8 inch line above and below my stitching line, and I also marked the line that starts the 5 inch opening. Lay the lining on top of the lips, stitch 2 times around, once right next to the edge and once 1/4 inch in. Trim any excess wool at the arrow point. Lay the piece of pocketing without the facing on the inside so that it's hanging perpendicularly, and then flip it up and line it up with the raw edge of the bottom side of the flap. Baste it to the bottom side of the flap quite close to your stitching line. Turn it down and press it. You can see that I'm maybe 1/16 inch from my seam. From the face side, stitch the lower pocket bag in place only between your 5 inch basting stitch. I'm about 1/8 inch from my line, and it caught the back side of my pocket bag quite nicely. Put straight pins on your 5 inch opening lines, and on the wrong side, find the center. Mark a line on the tab that is 5/8 to 3/4 inch from the corner. Position your tab either side of your center pin with the chalk line level with the pocket opening. Baste the tab in place through the seam allowance only on the top side of the pocket. Line up the raw edge of the slanted pocket lining with the raw edge of the facing and top stitch the folded edge down. Place the pocket piece with the facing on it against the other one, making sure they line up nicely, and pin the tops to the top of the seam allowance. From the face, stitch down 1/8 inch above the seam between the 5 inch gap. After you've stitched around the pocket bag, trim the seam allowance. Open the basting and pull the button tab out. Stitch the button on here.